and welcome to another episode of Fully Charged. A very exciting show today. I'm on my way now to pick up someone who has really made an enormous difference to the automotive industry in the last 10 years. He is the CEO of Renault and Nissan, two separate automotive manufacturers that are in partnership, and he is the boss of both of them. I'm about to pick him up from a very posh place in the middle of London and drive him out to an airfield where he's about to fly off to Paris. So it's very exciting. I'm actually a little bit nervous, but please welcome into the car, Mr. Carlos Ghosn.
Robert.
How are you?
Hi.
Very
Nice
to meet you.
Really nice to meet you.
So I'm sorry we have been making you wait.
I'm with you, don't worry.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
The best fun of all is when you give someone else a lift in a car who's never been in one.
Yes. The first time.
And the first time,
No,
and they don't know, especially if they haven't heard that, if they haven't heard it start.
I don't know if it's
And then
on.
they go, what? So are we going to go? And I go, yes. And you start moving, and that moment is just extraordinary.
I agree. Because people are used in a normal car. First, they hear the sound of the engine.
Yeah.
Here, there is no sound. Second, there's always a little bit of vibration.
Yes. Yeah.
There is no vibration.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're starting the car without them hearing
Anything
any
at all.
sound, feeling any vibration.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
Yeah. I also want to point out, viewers, that in the back we have the wonderful. Yes, look, she's actually a secret agent. That's why she's got the dark glasses on. That's Rachel Conrad from Nissan, and she's marvellous. And she's having a ride, but she's not going to say anything. Not a word.
Not a word.
The thing that absolutely galvanised it for me, where I suddenly became aware of you and what you were doing, was very much connected to this car. The commitment that you did to build this car was that was a fairly big change.
It's a vision. It's a vision of our industry. It's a vision of our society, which developed little by little and led you to make an important decision like this. Obviously, an important decision like this leading to immense investments. We're talking about 4 billion euro or about $6 billion. Based on the fact that we think society needs a car like this, zero emission, completely neutral to the environment, completely independent of oil, but at the same time that there is an appetite, there is an expectation from consumers, particularly young consumers, that somebody is going to come with a completely different game for autonomous transportation, reconciling the car industry with the challenge of the 21st century, and the most important and obvious challenge of them is reconcile the car with the environment. And I think the electric car, the beauty of the electric car is this is the first car that is totally neutral to the environment and at the same time totally free from oil dependence.
Yes.
So you're making two breakthroughs at the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have our own vision, and we have our own expectation, and we have our own forecast, but it's only the consumers globally who are going to demonstrate how much we were right.
Yes.
I'm not even thinking in terms about are we going to be successful or not, because it's obvious that this is something which is meaningful for society.
Yes.
The question is how successful we're going to be. That's the only question, and this is open, and I think we're going to get the answer within the next 3 years. This car is on the market. This is not a show car. This is not a prototype. This is a production car. Actually, it's going to be produced in and assembled in 3 different countries already decided: Japan, UK, and the United States, with a huge capacity of batteries being built, and we're going to be at Renault Nissan by far the largest electric car producer and seller in the world. The cumulative number of cars that we would be selling by 2016 would be more than 1.5 million. Okay, just to give you an idea, in 2010, out of 73 million cars sold in the world, 20,000 were electric.
Right.
20,000.
Out of how? What was the total?
73
million.
73 million cars sold
Wow.
on the planet.
Wow.
20,000 were electric.
Right. So
Okay.
a tiny speck.
You know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That means we're going to beat this number by ourselves already, Nissan alone,
Right.
in 2011.
Right.
Okay, and then in 2016, the car park, the electric car park between Renault and Nissan is going to be more than 1.5 million.
Right.
So this is going to be a substantial change
Yeah.
in terms of, you know, protection of the environment and in terms of emission.
Yeah. When I came across the term disruptive technology, you know, in a sense, the internet is a very good example of that because of what it certainly did to my business,
Yeah.
the television industry,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
music industry. You know, it changes. It doesn't destroy it. And
Yeah.
the resistance to that, and the people who don't like it, and the people who are upset by it. And in a sense, I had no idea about that an electric car would do that. When I first saw one, I went, "That's clever. That works really well."
Exactly.
And then became aware of the resistance to it. You
Yeah.
know, that there was a lot of resistance to it.
And you're gonna continue to have people skeptical and
Yeah.
opponents by interest, by misunderstanding, by anything, and it's normal.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's normal. You cannot innovate and create something with a consensus in front of you.
No,
Doesn't
no.
make. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of polemics and people telling you you're never gonna be successful. This
Yeah.
is a dream, which is normal. But the big difference between the electric car and the internet, that means nobody, maybe 20 years ago, would have imagined that something like the internet would be as central to life in the 21st century.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Okay, but the electric car existed from the beginning of
Yes,
this.
yes.
The first cars were electric.
Yeah.
So the initial image of the people who started this industry was electric car.
Yeah.
They couldn't make it work because, for a very simple reason, is that the battery technology was not sufficient, was not developed enough in order to allow this to happen in a reasonable way. So we went and developed something extremely complicated, which is the combustion engine.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now we're coming back to something more simple.
Yeah.
Why? Because technology allows it.
Yeah.
So yes, it's disruptive. Yes, a lot of technology in it, a lot of creativity. But again, it's the creativity which comes back to taking an old idea and making it a reality.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, an old dream
Yes.
of the pioneers of the
Yeah.
car industry.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to make it a reality.
Yes. Did it come about in a sense, the kind of Tesla story, that because we developed batteries for something completely different, as in phones and laptops, that technology then certainly boosted, didn't it? And then
You know what's interesting about the battery is that when I joined Nissan in 1999, at the beginning of the restructuring and the reorganization of the company, I reviewed all the research programs that Nissan was going on, and in
Right.
fact we dropped and we cut about 50% of them because they were leading nowhere.
Yeah.
One of the programs I kept was the research on batteries.
Right.
Nissan was already advanced in terms of battery research, and in 1999 I had no clue where it would lead us, but I say, oh, this idea has a potential, we never know. We kept it and we developed it, and when we decided in 2006 2007 to launch electric car, this was mainly because the development on the battery technology.
right, that had happened within Nissan.
Exactly,
Right.
it happened
right.
within,
yeah.
within Nissan. But the idea of saying, can we reestablish the electric car as one of the mainstream technology of the automotive industry was always present.
Right.
Because we saw so many problems by
Yeah.
bringing an electric car to the market.
Yeah, yeah. Because the batteries in this, the technology I've seen is definitely, because what people often say, oh, is it like a mobile phone? You go, well, no. Essentially, the answer has to be no. It isn't. It's very different. You know, it isn't just a great big mobile phone battery because of all the
Exactly.
technology that surrounds it.
Not only this big, but because, you know, the big difference between a mobile phone or a computer, because a lot of people ask me a very simple question: why can we have a very small battery on a computer and you need a 250 kilogram battery on a
Yeah.
car like Leaf?
Yeah.
Well, it's very simple, because the variation of power that you need to make a car work
Yeah.
are requiring much more technological sophistication than when you have something working with a constant use of power.
Yeah.
You know, when you plug a computer, well, you know, you're gonna use the computer on a permanent and linear way.
Yeah.
Well, the car, you accelerate, you decelerate.
Yeah.
You know, so you have many different conditions for the car, which make the battery much more complicated.
Yes. A lot of people asked when I said I was going to be talking to you, what you see as the future of the power storage for electric vehicles. I mean, is it the battery, or
yes.
is it? You feel it really is?
Yes. I think one of the most important technology that's going to develop a lot in the 21st century is the battery. Why? Because the 21st century, one of the main challenges of the 21st century is the energy.
Right.
Okay. How humanity is going to be facing the challenge of energy. We need more energy, and by needing more energy, we need at the same time the use of this energy and the exploitation of this energy to be in harmony with our environment. That's a big challenge of the 21st century. Okay, so obviously this means development of nuclear power, but also solar power and wind power, and every single aspect where you can extract energy. Okay, but it also means how you can save energy, because you can't just say I'm going to maintain. We're going to make more, and then everything's going to be fine. You're going to have to find ways to use more intelligently the existing source of energy. And one way to use more intelligently the existing source of energy is storing the energy. Today the waste in energy that is being produced because it's not used is due to the fact that you can't store it. You produce the energy, you have to consume it. If you can't consume it, it's just
wasted.
Wasted. Okay, so and the only way you can store energy is a battery.
Yes.
That's the only way. That's the only way we know. So in fact, the development of the battery is an absolutely essential ingredient into the energy strategy of the 21st century.
Right.
Well, it happens that this is a technology which is basic for the electric car, but it's also basic for hybrid and plug-in hybrid and all the other kind of environmentally sound technologies. So the development of the battery, we are just at the beginning of it. We have today a very reasonable solution, but I can bet you that within 5 or 10 years, the battery you're going to see on cars are going to go through a tremendous change and a tremendous enhancement. Let's not forget that at the end of the day, when portable phones started,
how bad they were.
2 kilograms. 2 kilograms. You need 8 hours to charge the phone, and you can talk for 30 minutes. 15 minutes.
Did you have one of the really big ones?
It was so
I never had.
Horribly expensive. $10,000, 2 kilograms,
so expensive.
8 hours charge, 20 minutes. And people forget that this was not an impediment for development.
No.
And now you have the reverse situation where you charge your telephone in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. You can talk for 1 full day. And this is part of the evolution that, my opinion, you're going to see to the battery.
Right. So that is definitely the
without
way
any doubt.
Right.
Without that, obviously, it would not going to develop the same way or with the same
materials.
But the creativity of human being, particularly when he knows that this is a need, has not.
It will drive it a lot. So within Nissan, then, is there and Renault? Is there still research going into that technology?
There is, and there will be research going into this technology. Obviously, we have the first generation now going on production, but you can expect to see much more innovation coming. On the not only on the battery, on the motor, on the inverters, on all the components of the electric car.
Right. But I think, this is the thing I'm constantly saying. We've now driven. This was full when I got it. I've driven 9 miles. And it said 101 miles range. We've now driven 9 miles, and it says 100 miles range. But you know why? Because in fact, it indicates to you. Or the potential at that speed.
The potential, but in function of your driving skills.
Yes.
So this means for me that you're driving better the car than the person who drove it before you.
I like that.
Exactly. You've driven many electric cars. You've driven the Leaf, the Nissan Leaf. Tell me your impression. What makes the Nissan Leaf different from all the other electric cars you've driven?
It is just the sophistication. I think it's the quality of the ride, the solidity of it. It feels like a really. I don't want to use a competitor's vehicle as an example, but I was very keen on the Volkswagen Golf, and I had just about every single Volkswagen Golf that they ever made, and they proved very reliable. They were very well made. They felt tight. They didn't feel wobbly. When you went over a bump, it didn't go blah, 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 it went boom, and that's what this feels like. This has got that kind of ride quality. It's very sophisticated, and I keep having to remind myself, hang on, this isn't a car that Nissan have been making for 20 years that you've gradually refined, this is a first generation car.
How about the acceleration?
Acceleration is brilliant, isn't it? It is very, very good. I mean, I tend to accelerate very gently because I like to go for the range, but when the range really isn't a problem and I'm only going 7 miles down the road, then you do tend to kind of whip it, you know, I mean, it will go.
Exactly.
You know.
No, exactly. You know, because people think that electric cars can, it's environmentally friendly, but it's boring to drive.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
It's a fun car to drive.
Yeah. No, it is really good fun.
Yeah, I think that's why, better than going and explaining and making long speeches, the best way, give the keys to a person and tell him, please go drive it, and then let's talk about it after.
Absolutely. I was at Geneva, I saw the S-Flow presented. This is what I don't know about the automotive industry. When you present something like that, I don't know how serious that is whether it's part of the automotive industry to present something like, this is what we could do.
You're talking about prototypes
the sports car, the electric sports car.
Well, you know what? Every time we come with a concept, what we call concept cars, it's never just an idea.
Right.
It's always to test something.
Right.
Or some things. But for Nissan and Renault, when you see a concept car, there's always at least a couple of ideas behind it.
Yes.
That you're going to find, if the reaction of the public is positive, that you're going to find into the production.
We'll come into a production, right. But I mean, that's because I suppose that's the background to that question. Are you planning on releasing other pure electric model, and that's in the pipeline?
The replacing battery is one available technology, but you need to make a decision at the level of the country. Because when you invest into equipment which is going to allow the car to be elevated, you change the battery, you put a new one, and then you go, you need to equip the whole country. You know, which means that this is not a car company decision. No. This is a country or a city or a region decision. But we wanted to make it available because some countries were extremely interested into this kind of organization.
Right.
But we didn't want to become prisoner of one particular way, so we developed it, and we developed something else.
Right.
You know, we have the slow charge, quick charge system, and we have the interchangeable battery system. And we offer both systems, and every country say, no, I'm interested into this one. For example, Renault in Israel went with the exchangeable battery.
I mean, what it does, it puts the people who've not experienced driving an electric car, immediately they see that as an idea, they love it. They go, oh, that's it, that's the solution, that will solve everything. That's all my fears about range anxiety. I'm just going to pull in rather violently behind that front of that van. Because they think, oh my God, I'm going to be driving along this motorway and I'm going to run out. and it's so hard to say to people, well, do you run out when you're driving with petrol?
Exactly.
No, you don't. You plan ahead.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
that you're not going to do it. Exactly the same as in this. I mean, I've done.
And then if an incident happens, we're testing in Japan a system by which you can call and you have a car coming with a quick charger and charge your car. It's not. There's a solution for everything.
Yes. Yeah.
But see, on top of this, there is another factor: is that most of the developing countries and the emerging economies are net oil importers.
Yeah.
China is a net oil importer. India is a net oil importer. So, two of the major potential economy of the world are net oil dependent and net oil importers.
Yeah.
So they have a fundamental incentive into finding solutions where their development doesn't make them more dependent on oil.
Yes. Yeah.
And as you know, transportation is one of the big consumer of oil.
Yeah. Presumably, historically, there's been a fairly close relationship between the big automotive companies and the big oil companies because you're very connected. And I'm just wondering if you've had kind of direct feedback from the big five oil companies going, hang on a minute, you've made something that doesn't use our product. I mean, is there any reaction from them?
Well, I can't tell you that first they are unanimous, but I can tell you that some of the oil company that I had met at the level of their CEO and we exchange about the electric cars, they don't consider the electric car as an enemy, because somehow part of the oil company are concerned by the fact that, you know, the demand on oil will grow so much, the price of oil will go higher, and this is going to be a backlash for them,
right?
You know, and they don't want to be seen as organizations absolutely indifferent to how much the consumer is paying for oil. And the only way to relieve some of the pressure on oil is to develop technology like this. My electric car is never going to replace completely on the short term existing technology. It's going to relieve the pressure on oil by developing a technology that's going to take a long time, you know, to become a dominant technology or a majority technology. I'm talking about within 10 years. 10% of the global market made by electric cars.
Which still means 90% are using oil.
Exactly, 90% is using oil. And the 90% using oil is going to be a much higher number than the 100% using oil today. Okay? So there is growth anyway. The question is, can you, you know, reduce the pressure of a tremendous growth by developing these technologies, which will still ensure that demand on oil will grow, except that's going to be at a much reasonable pace.
Because I mean, the other things that will be very interesting is how, you know, the loss that any government has in revenue from oil and from selling petrol, from taxation on roads and car use, how that's going to be converted for electric vehicles. Because, for instance, at my house, I've got solar panels. Now, they don't produce 100% of the electricity that the car uses by any degree, but they're producing at the moment, in this time of year, between 60 and 80%. So I'm producing that electricity myself. Well, are they going to charge me tax on that? You know, there's a lot of people are asking this, you know, because at the moment, obviously not. You're just being encouraged.
Well, the creativity of states to imagine how they're going to increase income is endless. So I can't tell you, and I'm not gonna, tell you that it's not gonna ever happen. Okay, but I would say today that it is in the interest of every single developed country, because practically all of them are net importer of oil, to say, let's reduce a little bit, the oil bill, the oil bill, substitute it with, because electricity can be developed through internal resources, you know, hydroelectric or nuclear or wind or solar, etc. So at least in the first step, and this first step can be a rather lengthy one, I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
I don't think
it's not going to happen in the next few years.
And I think electricity is going to be very cheap for electric cars, because, you know, you can charge electric car outside the peak period of consumption. I mean,
the best time
if you're
to
charging your car between midnight and 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to pay in some country up to 30% or 70% discount on the normal electricity price, which is a bargain.
Well, I mean, last year I drove an electric car nearly 10,000 miles, 900 and a bit thousand miles, and it cost £125 to do that distance, which is
amazing, huh? You know, in many countries, electric car can park anywhere.
Right.
Handicapped, bus station. It's true. I mean, this is part of the benefits they give you, is you can park anywhere.
But that's fantastic. Thank you so much. That really.
Well, you're welcome.
I think that was the most interesting 19.6 miles I've ever driven.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Thank you.